Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Women have sexual fantasies. Now, that's interesting to say because for some men, they like, yeah, duh. Unfortunately, a lot of men don't see it that way. I mean, I still get pushback when I say women want to have sex more than men. No, and of course, guys gonna say that because the women ain't demonstrating that reality with them in person. So I'm gonna tell you what, women have sexual fantasies, and understanding a woman's sexual fantasy tells you a lot about what she really wants. Now, there could be two levels to that fantasy. Now, a main level is they have a fantasy of getting with a certain type of man. Like they might have a fantasy of having sex with a thug. Uh-oh, here come the Pookie and Ray Ray comments. Or they could have fantasies about getting with a man of a certain race. Or they could have fantasies about a certain scenario where they meet, like maybe meeting a man in public and having sex with a stranger. Indeed, the fantasies are so deep. Sometimes when a couple has been married for a long time, they want to inject something new into it, engage in the fantasy. See, men are different. Yeah, we got fantasies, but not the same way. Our fantasies is just plain sex. Women be having a fantasy about the scenario and everything and getting with a certain type of man. Indeed, that's the type of man that fall into the diesel category of men. The diesel category, the gigolos, the male exotic dancers. In fact, let me touch on that for a second. If you really look at male exotic dancers, what it is with them is they selling a fantasy. They selling a fantasy. Even though they like, well, on stage, they stimulating sex with a woman. Behind closed doors, they actually having sex with her. But that's the fantasy. So what type of men they have in that fantasy? Typically a muscular man. Oops, body game. Typically a muscular man. Or look at the romance novel industry. From people who've read those type of books, they'll say most of these books are cheesy. Most of these books are cheesy, but they represent the fantasy. Who they have on the cover, what type of man they have on the cover. And then it's a fantasy scenario and everything. Indeed, they even have what's called feminist porn, where it's more directed, it's more for the consumption of women and a certain man treating her a certain way. So, and that's one level, that's a basic level of fantasies, but here's another one. Here's another one. I'll give y'all some really deep game. And let me just say, go on a tangent real quick. Some people think literally, they don't understand that's more of a colloquialism just to say game. People get caught up in semantics. It's like, no, it's just a dynamic. Using the term game is just, it can mean a lot of things. But let me give y'all some deep things, and this is with women. When a woman sees a man, it could be random, or it could be on YouTube. Don't ask me how I know. I ain't sharing some stuff. But it could, they could see a man, and if they find him sexually appealing, automatically their imagination takes over, and what they're doing is they're going over scenarios in their minds of what would happen with that man. What would happen? They already having sex with the man. He hasn't touched her. He hasn't done anything to her. He might not even know her, but she's having fantasies about him. And see, a smart man, he can pick up on it, because once a woman, like say she see a man, I don't know, say at a gym on a consistent basis, and she's always watching him working out, she's looking at his muscles, everything, and he might be even a little somewhat friendly to her, like, hey, how you doing, and all of that. If she's sexually attracted to him, she's already in her mind had going over scenarios where she'll have sex with him. And a smart man, he'll pick up on it and just play along with the script. A smart man will just play along with the script. And women have a lot of scripts going on. Because see, that's the thing, they have to think about it first, because what'll happen is this, is a very simple thing. They see a man they find sexually attractive. Their imagination kicks in. They'll make themselves receptive to him. So all he has to do is just pick up on her interests. That's it. That's all he has to do. And usually her interest is expressed by putting herself in a position to either run into him, accidentally. Sometimes she'll clock him, or, the infamous choosing signals. She'll just look at him. That's really the only choosing signal needed. She'll just look at him, give him an extra look, smile or something. Basically she's opening the door, because part of her fantasy could be this guy approaches her and stuff. See, and indeed, I'm gonna tell you how deep the fantasies are. Let's take it to another level. And we see this all the time. How many women out there got that fantasy of that fine man who also has money? See, a lot of women, they think they looking for, you might think they looking for a real man. No, they looking for that fantasy. That's how deep it is. That's how deep it is. And they'll think it's just some regular, guy. You get some woman, she's quite ordinary. She's quite ordinary. And normally she wouldn't even deal with that type of man who's like all handsome, built, tall, with 6 figures, right? But her fantasies are kicking in to the point she thinks this is really what she wants. That's how deep it is. You get some women, they smart, they know it's a fantasy. They'll just pay some diesel man, they'll pay some gigolo or some male exotic dancer just to enact it. Some will even pay for the boyfriend experience. Sometimes you see some rich woman and she with that boy toy, she with that boy toy or something, he's just enacting something, right? And they know what it is because they paying money, so they know the real deal. And then of course the regular, when an average woman just sees a man walking down the street and she think he's sexy. But then you get some women, they so caught up in the fantasies, it's the reality for them. It's the reality. And it's hard to tell them that this is not going to happen. And it's the real thing. If you understand, that's the whole thing. If you understand just that nature of women, if you understand that nature of women, you go a long way. You go a long way. And like I said, you get some guy, if he can pick up on it, then he knows what to do. If one of the most important things a man could do when he's trying to pull a woman, trying to seduce her, whatever term you want to run game, whatever term, is just listen to her. Sometimes she'll tell you, sometimes she'll tell you, So, that's the thing. That's the thing. Sometimes she will tell you. Seriously, sometimes women will tell you, I remember one of my favorites was a woman, she was just on a friend thing. Somebody I talk to every now and then, shoot the breeze with. But then she told me, it'd be great just to have that one friend I can just have sex with, and, we don't, ain't nothing big to it. And it's just, hook up every now and then. I was like, oh, okay. Picked up on it, say, hey, let's go to a motel. Boom. And, she tried to say, oh, okay. Yeah. Seriously, they will tell you. Sometimes they'll tell you what they want. They'll say something, they'll give clues and stuff, But just understand they have it. Now, like I said, 3 basic levels just to conclude everything. One where they'll pay for it. They want a guy to act a certain way. That's the whole, gigolo game right there. Gigolo, male exotic dancer, sex tourism game right there. And then, they see a sexy guy, all of a sudden they going through scenarios with him. And then, all you have to do is just come close to it. And then the final thing, which will really need to be worked on by a lot of women, their fantasies become so much that they think this is real. They think they can really, it's I'm gonna use that whole thing with women wanting some high value man, or a man making all this money and stuff. Let's put it like that, Some women, and it's okay, you want that man making 6 figures, $1 million, but you working a minimum wage job and you live in a poor neighborhood. Fantasy. It's pure fantasy, because you're not in an environment to meet that guy. So it's a fantasy. Now, if a woman's in that environment with that man, or any man that her fantasies that become reality for, okay, it's reasonable. But that's how you know it's a fantasy. They not even around that type of guy. but it's still something. So that's just a basic thing. Just understand that the woman's imagination, it's a powerful tool, right? That's a powerful tool that can actually benefit a man. All right. So anyway, that's all I have for today. Get back with y'all later. Peace and blessings.